welcome back to my channel. So today's video will be a walkthrough on every single tab and feature and dropdown that you see here at the top here in Thinkorswim. So I'm going to take some time and kind of break down each one of these, and then I'll go into some detail about each specific dropdown. So you can see here I'm currently under the charts tab, but I'm going to go ahead and start here under monitor. Now the first thing you'll see under monitor is that it's telling you that you can manage all your working, fulfilled, or canceled orders to track the current positions, and this data will be available after you place a trade. So you see that here under activities and position. Now once you decide to go ahead and place your first trade, or maybe you're currently trading, you'll see the positions pull up here. Now next to that, you're going to see where it says account statement, and this is going to be where it shows you like the value. You can look and see how much you have available to trade with, and essentially it's just going through the information on what you have available within your account. Then you're going to also see strategy roller, which is here. This is going to show you if you had any rolling strategies essentially set. If you had like covered calls or positions in this account, it'll show you all that information here. So this is pretty straightforward for the monitor tab. So now let's go ahead and take a look at this trade tab here. And the first thing you'll see is that it's defaulted to have all products pop up. And then of course we also see the option chain here. Now that's specifically because I trade options, so it's just defaulted. But you do see right next to the all products, it shows the Forex trader. So if you are a Forex trader, you can trade within Thinkorswim. If you go ahead and click on this, it'll show you all the basic information that you see here. You'll also see next to this on the right side, it says futures trader. So if you click on this, it'll show you the futures. So for example, ES, and then of course NQ, and it's defaulted to look this way and display the information. But again, you can configure all of these specific charts by just clicking on this little gear icon, and then you can customize what you want for the available items and then for your current set as well. So let's say, for example, you want to have the buy bid or buy the ask, or if you want to have sell bid, sell ask, if you want to add those in there, just click on add items. And then from there, all you would have to do is just hit OK, and it'll pull it up on your chart. All right, next to that on the right side, we see it says active trader. So if I click on this tab, this is going to be essentially the tab that a lot of traders use when they want quick execution in and out of trades. So you'll see I have mine configured to have the chart here on the left side. And then on the right side, this is how you would go about placing trades. Now I have made a previous video discussing what all of this means and how you can utilize these functions to place trades pretty precisely. So I'll leave a link to that in the description below. But just to quickly give a recap on the things that you can do as far as functionality. Again, if you click on the gear icon, it will allow you to edit your customizable column set. So for example, if you didn't want the buy market and sell market buttons on your specific line here at the top, like let's say you don't want these here, go ahead and click on them and you can remove the items. Or let's say, for example, you want to add an item like flatten. You go ahead and add the item there. You can also move it up or down depending on where you want it to be. So let's say I want to move it up for flatten. Just click on move up. And then from there, you would just go ahead and click on OK. And now you'll see the flatten button is appearing here at the top panel. Now, the really cool thing about using Active Trader is that, again, it does allow for very quick execution of your trades. So you can have specific templates set. And if you hit this drop down, you'll have easier access to any templates that you've already configured, and you can just use those whenever you want to place a trade. All right, so next to Active Trader, we see here on the right, it says Pairs Trader. Now this is going to be a specific way to trade if you're looking to compare. Essentially what it allows you to do is go about buying the pair and selling the pair. Now this is a little more complex as far as explaining everything, so if you want me to make a dedicated video on this, I definitely can, but this is just basic information about it. You can have your trigger set, the quantity here, and then of course you can go ahead and buy and sell the pair as mentioned. And then you can also do it for ETFs. So let's say, for example, you want to look at SPY and QQQ. Same thing, you can set a trigger for it, also have the number in quantity, and then buy the pair or sell the pair. Now, for anyone unaware of what pairs trading does specifically, it just involves finding two correlated securities or like two stocks or ETFs. So it's all about going long on one asset and short on another. And the goal is to profit from the relative price movement between the two rather than projecting the direction of the overall market. Now, it does work best when the assets historically move in a similar direction, like two companies in the same sector, really measuring the correlation between the metrics of the spread between the prices over time. Now, it can be useful if you notice any type of divergence between the stocks, and then it's also assuming that they revert to their typical correlation for outperforming one or the other, meaning one stock moves significantly up or down compared to the other, and it just presents an opportunity when trading. So how it works is you would buy the stock if you believe it's undervalued, and you would short the stock if you think it's overvalued, assuming that they will eventually revert to their historical correlation. But you can also look at the profitability from the convergence side as well. So if the spread between the two assets narrows and the prices converge, You can close both positions for a profit, but if the spread continues to widen, you may face a loss. So you have to be very particular on if you're looking for convergence or divergence between the two. So it's important to monitor the trade closely. It's a pretty good useful way to trade if you find it effective. So that is pairs trader. So now we're going to go ahead and take a look at the Analyze tab. All right, so underneath the Analyze tab, you see where it says Add Simulated Trades. If we go ahead and click on this, you can look at the option chain for the weekly as well. And this is a way to simply go about simulating a trade. So if you were to hit the drop down, you can go ahead and take a look. Again, you can select the number of strike prices you want to display. And then of course you can go about selecting the positions as under here for the spread size. All that good information is going to be valuable if you're wanting to choose to do this. It's pretty straightforward. And then next to that, we see risk profile. So this risk profile here will show you quite a few things. One is going to show you the commission is excluded, or you can have it included. You can have your lines to expiration set for a single, the day step, which could be a +1 at the day or a +2, so on and so forth, the volume step, the expiration, all this good information. And again, I can go into more detail if need be, but essentially you just go about looking at the metrics if you want to for the P&L open. It could be the P&L day or any of the option Greeks that you choose. You can also have the probability mode set for in the money, out the money, or touching. You can look at the probability range and then also select the date that you would want to choose as well by hitting this calendar drop down here. So that is everything here under risk profile. Next to that, you're going to see where it says probability analysis. Now this is always going to be in this shape that you see here, kind of like this, it's sort of like an inverted oval shape. And what this allows you to do is to use the cross arrows. You see I'm kind of moving it on my screen here. The cross arrows will allow you to select a date, and then it's also showing the probability analysis. And what this basically is entailing is looking at the volatility levels, and it's also displaying it here where you see it says volatility. It's going to show you essentially what to expect as far as reaching a specific price and the chances of it happening. And if you look for the future, if you like scroll over, so for example, we haven't got to April 10th just yet. They have it set for a 66.97% and then a 33.03% as well. So you can look at this for this price level at 115.51 on NVIDIA. If you go ahead and take a look at it, it'll allow you to move forward to choose any dates that you want, and then it'll show you the statistical analysis of what is likely to happen. So up here at the top, you're going to see where it says probability mode. It's set for in the money, and then you'll also see the probability range at the 68.27%. So overall, this is just information that you can have in your back pocket in case you were to ever need it. So underneath that, you'll see the weeklies as well. So for example, March 28th, we'll also see April 4th, so on and so forth. And then it shows you the above, and then it also shows you the below. And again, these are all going to be in percentages because they're telling you the analysis based upon probability. All right, underneath that, you're going to see where it says positions and simulated trades. And this is going to show you for the spread that you have it set for. It's also going to show you the model, for example, and then you'll also see the interest and then the date range as well. And that is pretty much everything here under the probability analysis tab. So next to that, we're going to see up here, it says economic data. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this. Now this tab is pretty self-explanatory. Essentially, it's going to show you all the economic data you can look for. They have everything from banking and finance, all the way up to international data. You can also look at academic data, product and business activity. So it's going to show you everything from the finance of companies. You can look at the technology sector, anything from like interest rates to employment cost index, all things as far as economic information that you want to know about. For example, ADP employment, education, job openings. This is going to be a useful tab. So you can type in any word. It could be a phrase, or if you wanted to type in a series of symbols, you'll put that in here, click on search, and it'll pull up the information for you. So you'll notice if you scroll down, essentially it'll show you the product is used, and it's telling you it's not endorsed by the Federal Reserve Bank. So just keep that in mind when you're looking at this information. All right, so next to economic data, we see it says think back. Now this think back tab pretty much allows you to back test in a way. So you can go ahead and enter a symbol. So let's say, for example, I wanted to enter Apple. I'll just pull that up here. And you'll see the option chain pulls up as well. Then you'll also look at the back trades for the date, and then it'll show you a chart here at the bottom. You can look at your underlying P&L for the graph. And then of course, it's also going to show you implied volatility as it always does with the option chain. And then you'll see the information on this top line here as well. Now up here at the top right, you're going to see it says company profile, and then it has this calendar drop down. You can go ahead and select it and then choose the date that you would want, or you can actually go to today's date. So that is everything here under Think Back. Now we're going to go ahead and take a look at fundamentals. This is essentially going to be a fundamental way of looking at any stock or ETF you're interested in. So let's say, for example, we're looking at, let's say, Tesla. If I type Tesla in, we can pull that up. It'll show us an overview to start, what the current price is trading for. They also allow you to look in terms of selling the bid and buying the ask. And then it shows you the open, close, high and low, the volume as well as mentioned here. And then you can also download this information for like the Morningstar, the Schwab equity ratings, and then they show you a brief overview of how the stock has performed since April of 2020. So we can see back then it was at a low of $52. Its high was at $404. Now again, Tesla did experience a stock split, so this information is based upon that. Just looking at the dollar value of the stock, because we know at one point Tesla was well over $1,000. But again, considering the stock split. Now underneath here, under this overview, you're going to see where it says company profile. All this does is give you a quick little summary on what the company is about. It also gives you like essentially the headquarters for it, the phone number if you needed to, and then the website. Under this section here, you're going to see where it says by the numbers. So you can look at these numbers based upon annual or quarterly. And essentially, this is telling you everything from the share value of the company, profitability, it's looking at activity ratios, financial ratios, valuation, so on and so forth. So you can look at it from any perspective. They show you the 5-year trend. They also tell you essentially what's going on currently, and then the YOY is year over year percentage. And then if we scroll down a little bit, you're going to see where it shows the valuation highlights. And this is basically just the company details on what has changed. It talks about Tesla's Q4 2024 earnings, and then it also gives information on the business summary, sources of the information, key trends, and then of course also anything that you would want to keep in mind that's current for news. And then it also shows you at the very end what drives the stock as the main point of emphasis for the company. So that is everything here under fundamentals. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back up. And this is a pretty useful tab if you ever wanted to look up a company's information and just see how profitable they are or how profitable they are not. This is the perfect place to check that out. All right, so next to that, we're going to see where it says earnings. Now this tab is one that I think Thinkorswim made very user-friendly because it's pretty much easy to understand the display on here. So if you start, you can put the ticker symbol here at the top. It'll show you the current share price. And then you can also look for quarterly earnings. So for example, if we look at Q2 of 2023, you can compare that to Q3 of 2023, and then Q4 2023, so on and so forth. And then from here, you just slide it over to see the comparison on how the stock has performed within their earnings quarter over quarter. Now underneath that, you're going to see where it says volatility, and it shows you the implied volatility here or the historical volatility. Now if you uncheck one of the boxes, then it'll only show you the one that you're actually wanting to see. But if you keep them both up, you can see if there's any crossing between the historical and implied volatility, for example here. And then we also see a cross here within it. Underneath that, you're going to see the ATM straddle. And then underneath that, you're going to see the EPS, which is just the earnings per share. You can look at actual or the Wall Street. And then you can also choose to either have showing the trend lines on or off. It just depends on what you want. Now, one other thing you can look at is this line here where it says zoom. If you click on this, basically what it's showing you is that full capacity zoomed in. Fit all is going to show you it fits within the box. And then if you choose to click on compare, now from this specific point, it's more horizontal within the comparison, and it's also showing you the underlying implied volatility. You can click off or on for any line that you do want to see or you don't. And then they also show you upcoming for Q2 of 2025. You can choose to have this off or on, your choice on it. And then it shows you what you want as far as chart information for the data. Now, the last thing to note under this tab is that you can see where it says earnings scheduled. It'll tell you that Apple, for example, is going to report earnings again on May 1st of this year. And then they also have the triple M at a plus or minus 3.01. So essentially, they're anticipating that the stock will move in the range of either to the upside or downside by $3.01. So I've covered everything here under the Analyze tab. So now let's go ahead and look at Scan. Now, the very first thing you'll see pulled up is going to be the stock hacker. And this is a pretty beneficial function that you can utilize as well. What this allows you to do is go ahead and take a look at some stocks, and you can actually scan for what you want specifically. So let me first start off by explaining how this is going to be set up. It's showing you that you can have the setup scan to be for the top 10 sizzling stocks. And then you can also scan in all stocks by category if you want to. You can have it for the symbol, the stocks, the indices, futures, funds, whatever you choose. You can also click on personal and add maybe your own like watch list if you wanted to. You can also do the indexes. And then of course, if you want to have it for the changes, anything that you want for like all ETFs, for example, you can look for 25+ year dividend, anything you want. If you're looking for like the top 10%, maybe for the gain within the NASDAQ, or if you're looking for by industry, it can be any of the 11 sectors that we have here. You can click on those and essentially you can pull up the numbers. Now, let me kind of give you a brief understanding of what this does. If you look at where it says intersect with, you click this drop down, and this is basically a way to filter the categories that you would want. So for example, same thing, you can also have it set for the stocks or indices, top 10, industry, all that good stuff. You can also have your stock scanner to exclude certain things. So let's say, for example, you do not want to have a certain industry mentioned in here. If you click on it, you can exclude energy, for example. Now, once you've set the parameters, you pretty much just go ahead and display them for what you want. And you can also add a condition group and add a filter. So if you were to go ahead and add a filter, you can choose to have it for stock, option, fundamental, study, or pattern. So if you click on stock, it will just add another filter that you have here underneath. So let's say we're scanning for essentially to be maybe the beta, for example. That could be the first thing we're scanning for. The second thing we're scanning for could be something like the earnings per share. The third thing that we're scanning for could be something like the put to call ratio, PC ratio here. You can go ahead and put in a minimum value, and then you can go ahead and put in a minimum value here. Same thing, and then you can also put in a max value as well. So whatever you want to put in these boxes is totally your choice, and it will tell you the number of matches that pull up. From here, all you would have to go ahead and do is click on scan if you have the number set for what you want, and you can also have it set for ascending or descending when it shows you what you pull up, and then it'll show you the top 10 if you just want 10 to display. If you want 20, 50, 200, 1000, whatever you want, just go ahead and click on scan and it'll wait for the results. It'll show you all the stocks that pull up for this specific filter that you have set. All right, so next to stock hacker, we also see it says option hacker. This pretty much does the same thing as a stock hacker. Same variables for the most part apply, but you can use this for options. So for example, if you want to have your filter that you select here, you can always add more if you want to. And then of course you can click on option. And if you also want to do anything for fundamentals, again, studies or patterns, click on those. But if you just want to stick to options, just go ahead and click on it. So let's say, for example, you want to go ahead and do a scan for the probability of being in the money. Let's say you also want to scan for implied volatility. And then let's say the last thing you want to go ahead and scan for, let's say the volume. Again, all you would have to do is put in a minimum amount and then also a max if you want to. Go ahead and select those for all three of them. And then this is going to show you that it's going to apply for all of the following. So make sure you understand that this is going to be set for all of the following things that you're selecting. Now, if you want to exclude information, you can click down here in this bottom box. It'll say none of the following. So let's say you want to have the probability of out the money, but none of those want to be applied to the scan. So you'll go ahead and leave it set for that. And then it'll show you the number of matches. All you would have to do is go ahead and click on if you want it to be for the symbol to be sorted. You can have it for basic, the price and quote, fundamentals, the option underlying metrics, custom quotes, or studies. And then from here, just click on scan and wait for the results to pull up and you should be good on that. Next to that, you're going to see where it says spread hacker. This is, again, kind of the same thing. I won't go through all of this information, but y'all pretty much catch the drift. This is going to be for any types of spreads that you want to set. And you can also choose to have it search for like anything like vertical, if you're looking for butterfly, iron condors. It could be calendar, diagonal, whatever you choose to have. You can have it set for all stocks, or you can choose a specific category. Or if you want to do top 10, any of that is an option as well. So it's the same thing. Just go ahead and select the drop down, choose what you want for the parameters, and then put your minimum and then also your maximum and hit scan. And then next to spread hacker, we see it says spread book. You click on this, all you would have to do is go ahead and put in another ticker symbol. Let's say we'll stick with Apple just for the example. You'll put that in, it'll wait and load. You'll see the spread book for it. Now this ISE spread book here refers to the International Securities Exchange, and it basically just provides detailed information about options trading activity. It's essential in real time, and it shows you the current spreads, including any like complex options orders, and it'll also show you like full transparency on the trading and like the pricing across various different spread strategies. And it's good if you're looking to understand the viewpoint. And since it is global, it's going to show you that information, kind of like an inner working of what's going on globally. So that's basically all you'll see here for the spread book. All right, so next to scan, we also see MarketWatch. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. Now on the very left, you'll see it says quotes. Now this tab is going to be essentially a big watch list. And that's what I like to use it as, because you can go ahead and put in any ticker symbol that you want here. It'll obviously tell you the name of the company, and then it'll show you the quote trend. It can show you the last, the net change, the bid and the ask. It shows you the volume, You can have open interest, high, low, 52, high, low, and then of course if you want to add any indicators. Now you can also go ahead and customize this by hitting this little gear icon right here on the right side. Click on that and you can click on the customize tab. You'll see it pulls up the column set for the quotes. You can look up anything you want. So let's say, for example, you want the percentage in the money, or you may decide, hey, I want to look at any types of correlations. They have tons of different studies here. Let's say you want implied volatility to be on there. You can go ahead and select it and then hit add. And then if you go ahead and hit OK, you'll see implied volatility now pulls up. Now, what I really like about this tab is that it gives you a very quick view and you can visualize essentially what's going on within the market as a quick comparison. So if you're not wanting to take the time to kind of go ahead and write down the numbers, you just want to see the numbers from a very quick glance, this is a good opportunity to do so. Now, underneath it, you can click on this box here and add any other ticker symbol. So let's say, for example, you wanted to add QQQ, just press enter and then it'll pull up all the information for QQQ. Now, let's say you didn't want this information for QQQ. Just delete it and then press enter again and the information will go away. So again, this is just an at-a-glance view of what's going on in the market, hence the name MarketWatch. All right, so next to that, we see it says alerts. If you click on this is where you can have your alert book. Again, go ahead and do the same thing. Type in any ticker symbol that you want. It'll show if you have anything as far as historically pulled up. You can also go ahead and set alerts in this tab here. It'll show you any sets that you have. And this alert book tab here will either show you all alerts or the ones that are working only. All right, so next to the alerts tab, we see it says visualize. You're gonna see a good amount of information. You'll see a bunch of boxes and squares. I'm gonna start here at the top where it says all watch lists. And this essentially is a heat map. It's a good way to see what the stock market is doing at a macro level. You can look at it for the indices. So let's say, for example, you wanted to take a look at the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000. You can look at the S&P 100 or 500. Or if you want to stick to public, you can choose to do that. Or if you have any personal that you want to pull up for a watch list, this can also give you that information as well. So just to give you a quick understanding of what this does, these boxes, although they may seem obnoxiously big, they do serve a purpose. And the size of the boxes is based upon the size of the market cap. So the larger the box, the larger the market cap for the company. Now you can also see that this is divided by the 11 sectors within the market. So for example, information technology is here on the left. We see financials is here. We see communication services is here, healthcare, industrials, consumer discretionary, so on and so forth. So it's all separated based upon the sector. Now you may be wondering the most obvious, which is why are some of these specific boxes green and then why are some of them this red or deep red color here? Reason being is because it's always going to tell you the percentage change based upon whether the stock is either at a positive percentage change or negative. So for example, we can see that the percentage change on NVIDIA is going to be a plus 3.15%. Now that's telling us the last pricing for it, and it's telling us that it changed into a plus 3.15. Now if you go ahead and take a look at these red boxes, for example, we're going to go ahead and just look at Pfizer right here. We can see that the percent change is negative. So you can see the percent change is at a negative 0.53%. So all in all, this just means that the green boxes are going to be the positive price changes, and then the red ones are going to be negative price changes. Now, the reason you see AVGO is grayed out in this like dark color, it's not either red or green, is simply because the percent change was not significant enough to go either way. It is at a negative 0.21%. However, it's not significant enough to either go to the left or the right as far as being red or green. So they have it grayed out in this dark gray color here. So hopefully that makes sense. So essentially that's everything here under the Visualize tab. So let's go ahead and take a look at financing rates. Now, to be fully transparent, I never look at this specific tab because you'll see it's a bunch of different Forex pairs, and I don't trade Forex, so this tab is one that I don't tend to use. But if you ever wanted to know, that's what this specific tab shows you as a default, is Forex. But I don't trade that, so I don't bother with this tab. And then of course, if you go next to financing rates, it shows the calendar. Now this tab offers a pretty broad viewpoint. You can see it does look pretty crowded and busy on this screen, so I'll show you essentially the breakdown of what's going on. You'll see where it says show all. Let's say you don't want to have everything checked. Let's say you only want to see what stocks are reporting dividends, and then you also only want to see who is reporting earnings. That'll show you those two things if you click the drop down. But let's say you also want to know what the market drive and the ETF dividend distribution is as well. You can click that. Essentially, you can decide if you want to see stock splits, anything. You can also click to have it all shown as well. So yeah, it's just all personal preference on what you would want for this. Again, it's just information to have on what's going on in the market. Now it is set for monthly, but if you want to choose to have it set for daily, or if you want to have it for the week, you can go ahead and select either one of those. I personally like to leave mine set for monthly just because, again, I get the full scope of what's going on. All right, so next to MarketWatch, we see charts. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And this is going to be something that's super familiar to pretty much everyone. So I don't necessarily have to break down this information, I don't think. I think everyone is pretty aware of what the charts tab shows you. It's literally the stock chart. And I've made tons of videos discussing this information. So again, if you want to check out one of the beginner setup videos that I have, I'll leave a link to it below. But for the most part, just to kind of give a brief overview, you can click on flexible grid and kind of pull up more than one chart. You can look at product depth, and it'll show you the implied volatility for calls and for puts. And then this tab, I just want to spend a quick second just discussing this, that if you scroll down just a little bit, it'll also show you the weeklies here at this drop down. But let's say, for example, you're wanting to kind of customize what you see for the set. You can have it set for the upper to be open interest, or you can select any other default that's listed here. And then the same thing for the lower. If you don't want it to show the implied volatility, you can select anything from the drop down menu as well. Now, this product depth also applies to futures. So if you click on this tab here, you'll see that pull up if you were to enter that into the box. But for the most part, it's just going to be information that you select to choose based upon comparing the weeklies down here. You see them. All right, next to product depth, we see book map. I'm going to click that here. And again, this is going to be a chart to display the market liquidity. This is also going to be something where they talk about the transparency visualization and then also providing insight. You can try it for free if you like. I don't 100% think it's necessary, but if you choose to do that, it's basically a tool that you can use. But if you're like, nah, I'm not really feeling it, you can just look for the Learning Center to kind of get the same sort of information, your personal preference on it. All right, so next to charts, we see it says tools. I'm going to go ahead and click on this. And the very first thing we see is a think log. Now, if you've never clicked on this panel, then you're probably unaware what the think log is. And just to sum it up pretty quickly, all this will display is information that you've ever had if you contacted Schwab's customer service. So for example, if you had to call in and say, hey, whatever was going on within your account, they'll actually log that information and you'll see it pulled up here. And then once you're able to track that information, you can always download it and keep the information for reference. So that's all this tab is here. Next to that, you're going to see it says videos. So if you click this, it's going to show you information as far as what Schwab has for the news. It'll then on the right side show you the specific articles and where they're getting information from. So CNBC. And if you're wanting to kind of check this tab daily, you'll see that it is updated pretty frequently. All right, so next to videos, we're going to see where it says shared items. This is going to be the specific area you can have if you want to go ahead and share, for example, a chart, or if you have any specific think scripts or indicators that you want to share with a friend or maybe your trading community or a group of people. That'll show you anything you have for shared items here. I will say they do make a note that if you remove any item from the list, the people who you've shared that information with and they have that link, they're still able to access it. So basically what that means is once you share something from your chart or if you share information with someone else, that's pretty much their information at that point. So there's no going back on it. They still have it available to them. Now, the one thing you can do is look at all items you have. And again, it could be for a grid or workspace. If you shared a watch list with someone, any type of alert template, a chart, any think scripts that you created. It could be an order, it could be phase scores, or a simple chart. That's going to be something that you'll see all pulled up here. And then also you can set the period for aggregation if you want it to be all time, last 24 hours, 7 days, a month, or a specific date range that you can choose. All right, so next to shared item, we see it says think script. This is going to be a little more complex. So this specific tab is a little more techy. If you're one who's interested in coding and understanding very detailed information about the technology and how you can format specific scripts, then this tab will probably be your best friend here in Thinkorswim because you can pretty much allow yourself to create your own formatted codes. And then if you wanted to, you can have it for the think script editor or the condition wizard. Now in this box here, this is where you would actually enter the code that you would have. And then if you wanted to have the reference or inspector, you would just hit these drop downs here and have that information. You can see I do have some specific indicators that I have had configured. I have not, I'll be honest, I have not made these specific indicators myself. These are ones that I had configured and I utilize. Now underneath studies, you'll see here it says strategies. So you can go ahead and select anything you want for your strategies as well. All right, so moving on, next to the tools, we also see education. I'm not going to click on this tab simply because all it's going to do is display a really white screen with a bunch of information that you can use for education. I will click on Learning Center because it's going to display it as just simply understanding what you can look for as far as typing in any search. So for the information that you're unaware of, let's say, for example, you want to learn technical analysis. They have specific articles that you can click on here, or if you're brand new to Thinkorswim, they're basically giving you a welcome and then they tell you how to use Thinkorswim. You can get started with their guide. They show you some charts. They also give you pattern strategy studies. You can look at the drawings and how to utilize those. And then they also talk about the Think script. You scroll down just a little bit more, they also offer you videos based upon order entry tools, the Street Smart Transition tools, workspaces, all that good stuff is here. They then also tell you upcoming events. So whatever's going on in the near future, you'll see that information listed here. And then they tell you all videos that you want to watch can be found in this location here. And then the last thing that you can do is go to the events calendar, or you can view all the videos. All right, so scrolling back up, the very last tab you see here is help. So this essentially is going to be what you can use if you want to go ahead and contact Thinkorswim. They provide the phone number. You can also utilize live chat during hours of operation. And then they also provide some interesting links if you want to go ahead and check those out. Underneath that, you'll see system and then disclosures. And these two tabs are pretty much self-explanatory, the systems and disclosures, so no need to go over that. All right, and the very last thing you see here on the right side is this on-demand button. And I've showed this several times in so many different videos. This is basically a way to backtest. They'll pull up this Think on Demand enabled kind of box, and then you can go ahead and click on OK. And essentially you can go about backtesting any trades that you want. Just select this drop down for the menu for the calendar, select the date and the time, and then click go. And then you can look at it on the charts depending on what you want to see. So essentially that is everything. I'm going to go ahead and click on the on-demand button again, and it will return it back to the normal trading. All right, y'all, I know this video was pretty long and lengthy, but I have provided all information about every single thing you see here, about the specific intricacies in Thinkorswim. So yeah, I'm hoping that it was just helpful for everyone. But I thought it was essential to make this kind of video because there's so many different features and functionality within TOS. I thought it would be helpful to provide this for any new traders or those who are just beginning their trading journey. But like I mentioned, if you guys want me to go into detail about anything that I've mentioned in this video, or if y'all have questions, do not hesitate to let me know. And with that, that'll pretty much do it for this video. If you found any of this information to be helpful, feel free to leave me a comment down below. As always, I thank y'all so much for watching. And of course, I'll see y'all in my next one.